me ask you something. Have you ever felt like, well, there's just not enough hours in the day between your want to-dos and your need to-dos and your lists? You wake up, you blink 2 times, you gulp some coffee, and suddenly it's bedtime again. You feel like you haven't even scratched the surface of everything on your list, much less the things that you kind of just want to do to enjoy life. Well, I get it. Life does move fast, and for years, I worked in the television business, which is 24/7, rolling swing shifts. I missed birthdays and graduation events and parties and memories and moments. Between work and family and everything in between, time literally feels like it's slipping right between your fingers. But here's the thing. What if I shared that the key to using your time effectively isn't about trying to do it all at once, isn't about running on that infinite hamster wheel of life? What if it's more about focusing on those micro moves, the small, consistent actions that lead us to massive change over time? Well, today we are talking about time, and more specifically, how these micro moves every single day will help you move the needle in your life and your career. Trust me, the more consistent you are with these small moves, the bigger the payoff's going to be. Now, if you've read my book, Get Off Your Assets, I've linked it below. You know that I truly believe that each and every one of us are capable of amazing things. But sometimes it's not about doing more, it's about doing what matters more. And that's what we're diving into today. How to make those little small shifts, or micro moves if you will, in your time management that will lead to massive results in your life. And let me share this with you. Once you start using your time more intentionally, and that's our key word here, intentionally, things will begin to shift in ways you can't even imagine. So let's start by talking about micro moves. I know you might be thinking, micro moves, what is that? Or are micro moves gonna really do anything? Well, listen, I totally get it. It sounds small, right? But here's the thing. Micro moves are your secret weapon. It's a secret weapon to making huge progress in your life without burning out. Now, I want you to think about this. Every single thing that you want to achieve in life is built from tiny steps, even your first actual steps when you were a toddler. So whether it's getting fit, writing a book, building a new business, learning a language, learning a new hobby or skill or activity, none of those things happen overnight. But if you can focus on making progress, no matter how small, every single day, you're gonna see big changes over time. And this is something I really had to learn the hard way. I'll go back to when I first started in the world of television hosting and public speaking. I would see all the big gurus out there and think about who you look up to in your industry or in society. I wanted what they had, and I wanted it all to happen poof, at once, like a magic wand, like my fairy godmother descended and sprinkled fairy dust on me. I thought that success was about making these huge leaps and strides, but what I didn't realize is they had already built deep foundational roots. And the other thing I realized is the small, consistent actions are what added up to the big results. You see, what happens when you take those small steps every day is that you build momentum. You also build habit and consistency. So let me share an example here. Let's make it practical. Let's say you want to get healthier. How about that one? Everybody says, oh, I'm going to get healthier. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to do whatever it is. But the whole idea of becoming a gym rat or exercising an hour, 2 hours every day might be, well, daunting. So you might think, well, I don't have the time for that. But guess what? What if I shared with you, you don't need an hour? You could start with simply adding 10 minutes to your day. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, how about a brisk walk around your house or around the neighborhood for 10 minutes after every meal? Or a quick workout at home? Oh, I got one. Instead of taking the escalator or elevator, what about take the stairs? Or when you do get to stairs, do 20 calf raises every time you get there. You kind of get the idea of where I'm going, right? So look for micro moves all throughout your day to start your momentum. Now imagine, what if I was to do that 10-minute workout every single day for a month? Well, that's 300 minutes, right? So what started out as small, I don't have time for this, I don't want to be a gym rat. Well, that little thing becomes a habit, and that habit becomes a routine that contributes to your healthier lifestyle. And over time, those 10 minutes, those micro moves start to add up to major, major change. Micro moves work because they fit into a busy life without feeling overwhelmed. And overwhelm is also what often causes us to give up. Micro moves are your little victories that build up over time and lead you towards your bigger goals. And once you start making those micro moves, I know you're going to notice just how much momentum that you're going to gain. Trust me, once you see how much you can get done in just a few minutes a day, you're going to be hooked and motivated and encouraged to do more. Okay, so let's get practical again. How do we actually implement micro moves in our day-to-day lives? Well, let's break it down. First, you need to decide the area of your life where you want to make progress. This is where you get your brain engaged, okay? It doesn't just happen and our fairy godmother no longer exists. So decide which areas of your life that you want to make progress. So maybe it's the career, maybe it's your health, maybe it's building new skills or nurturing new relationships. Once you know where you want to focus, you can break your bigger goals into smaller, manageable actions. Think about an outline to do whatever you're going to do in life. Now, if you've been with me a while, you know I love my journals. I like to keep a journal for this, and I journal by category because I am a self-proclaimed super geek, but I do that so I don't feel overwhelmed. So for this activity, and especially if you're just getting started here with me, I encourage you to choose 1 or 2 areas that give yourself some leeway to succeed. In some of my previous videos, I'd call this stacking the deck in your favor. Okay, do you want to hear my little secret? I'm going to start off with, you do know I'm a super geek. This came from an article I read about the 10,000 hour rule, and it was popularized by Malcolm Gladwell. And it discusses the time that it takes to be an expert at something. And what does an expert really mean, right? Well, the idea suggests that it takes approximately 10,000 hours or 10 years to become an expert at something, anything. Whew, well, that sounds a little daunting, right? Well, again, that super geek in me needed a bit more clarification, something tangible. So I looked at that 10,000 hour rule, as well as looking at the Pareto principle. Now, the Pareto principle suggests that 80% of the result comes from 20% of the effort. Okay, so I've got 10,000 hours over here, Pareto rule over here, major commercial break. Most of us, you and I, we've been adults longer than 10 years, right? So arguably, we do not need 10 additional years to become an expert of ourselves. Phew, that takes a little of the pressure off, doesn't it? So what we're really looking for today, we're looking for, how about a little remodel? You following me? We're looking to be a little bit more proficient in 1 or 2 areas, and that's what we're journaling. 1 or 2 areas where we can excel a little bit more in our lives. So let's follow this again. Are you ready? If 10,000 hours is an expert, can we agree that 100 hours would maybe make us good at something and 1,000 hours would make us proficient? Yeah, I think so. Okay, so let's continue that thought. From these thoughts, I broke it down even smaller. If I want to be good at something, that's 100 hours. Well, 100 hours is 6,000 minutes, which is approximately 1 year. And if you divide it all out, that's just about 18 minutes a day. I like to call this whole mumbo jumbo of mental math the 18-minute me. And no, it's not about taking an 18-minute nap. But I totally support that. I'm a napping queen, and after all that math, we might need it. But what I really mean is the 18-minute me is about spending just 18 minutes a day focused on one thing you want to improve. And aren't you worth 18 minutes? 18 minutes is less than 1% of your day. But that can be small, focused blocks of time. And those blocks of time can make a huge difference in the long haul. So think about this. If you were to commit just 18 minutes a day towards achieving something you want to achieve, you're putting 126 minutes a week. That's over 2 hours. Now, that adds up to over 100 hours in the course of a year. P.S. and I love you. I bet you've been scrolling through Instagram or Facebook longer than that, right? Not calling any names here, but I am saying 18 minutes a day is enough time to learn a new skill, improve your fitness, make real strides in your career, learn a new style of cooking, whatever it is. And you will be amazed at what you can achieve with just a little daily dedication. You know, when you think about it, this method isn't too far off from the Pomodoro technique. I know, got lots of time management here, but boy, I put a thought into this. Now, the Pomodoro technique is a time management method, and the whole point of it is to improve your focus and productivity. Whew, but the Pomodoro technique is based on 25-minute increments. I know I'm about to overshare, but at my age and having birthed 3 children, I need some bathroom breaks. So I'm gonna go with the 18-minute blocks, the 18-minute me, rather than the 25-minute blocks, because I need some bathroom breaks in there. Plus, with 18-minute blocks and a few bathroom breaks, I get 3 opportunities with an hour to build my future me. Okay, that's a lot of mental math, but isn't that encouraging to know that you can do so much for you? I'm totally geeking out on it, but I also needed to get that all out there. Okay, let's take a deep breath. Let's talk about actually setting those realistic and achievable goals. Because micro moves are great, but you've got to know where they're going. Have you ever been driving somewhere and you're driving, you're thinking, have I gotten there yet? Or did I pass the turnoff? Well, if you're trying to get somewhere and you pull open the Maps app on your phone, you have to put a destination in for it to give you the path, right? Well, the key to micro moves are to know where you're going. Know that destination in advance, and that's gonna make your micro moves work. Now, the key to making micro moves work in your favor is to break those big goals down into much smaller, actionable steps. Much like when you go on the GPS route, it gives you actionable steps. That is what we're talking about right now. Now, let's give you a real life example, and we'll go back to my book for just a second. When I first thought about writing this book, that was daunting. I had a lot of ideas in my mind. I had some things I'd written down in my notes app, but the idea of saying, I'm gonna write a book is a little bit overwhelming. But instead of thinking, I'm writing a book, let's break it down into, I'm gonna write 7 chapters, or I'm gonna write 50 paragraphs. I'm gonna write a paragraph, which could be as little as 5 sentences. So if you focus on writing just 1 paragraph a day, at first it seems like nothing, but the beauty of it is if you write 1 paragraph a day in a month, yeah, that's 30 paragraphs. And that, my friend, is significant progress. Okay, so here's another move. Are you ready for it? In addition to micro moves, I want you to schedule, I did say that, your micro moves. Now, let's be fair. We schedule everything else in our lives. Maybe your nail appointment, your hair appointment, a trip to the gym, doctor's appointments, getting to work, going to the grocery store. Why not schedule things that move us closer to our own goals? In fact, I want you to treat them like appointments on your calendar. Block out 18 minutes a day and commit to showing up for you. Show up for yourself. I want you to write it down because when you write something down, it changes the importance. In fact, set a timer. Treat that time as sacred. This is what I was talking about earlier when I said I was gifting myself an hour a day to build my future self. No one is going to build you but you. So you have to get in there and put in the effort. You're doling out the time and the effort for you. Make it what you want to craft your next chapter. Okay, so we've talked about how small steps lead to big change, but there's one more thing you can't overlook, and that's the celebration. Celebrating your small wins. In fact, I don't think there are small wins. Every win is big, and I know it can be tempting to think that you only celebrate when you hit a big goal like landing the promotion or running the full marathon. But here's the thing. Celebrating the small wins is what keeps you going. That's the fuel for the fire. Those tiny victories like finishing the paragraph, finishing the chapter, hitting your daily step goal, or completing the task that you've been avoiding like the plague, well, that deserves to be celebrated too. And why? Celebrating is important. And the reason why is because it enforces the idea that you're making progress, and it actually boosts your motivation to keep you going. Psychologically, when we celebrate those wins, cue the jazz hands, it releases dopamine. That's our brain's reward chemical. This makes us feel good. It encourages us to keep working towards those next goals. Now, back to the book. If you remember, I talked about things like internal motivation and external motivation. External motivation would be the quotes that you read or a friend going, good job, patting you on the back. Well, guess what? Nobody's there to pat us on the back or pat us on the hiney and say good job every day. So sometimes we have to do that dopamine release for ourselves. So I want you to think about it like this. Each and every small win is a deposit into your confidence bank, and you can make that happen. And guess what? The more deposits you make in your confidence bank, the more you'll be empowered to take bigger actions, face bigger challenges, and move forward straight on to creating the woman that you want to be. All right, I used to be that person who would only celebrate the big achievements, like I would wait till I landed that big speaking gig or hit the big milestone in my career before I'd allow myself to celebrate. But I realized that celebrating those little steps would build the momentum for me and helped me keep motivated for the long haul. Let's face face it, in my business, I get a lot of no's and a lot of door closes before I get one open. And the sad reality is when you're a television host or a public speaker, people see you on the stage, they see you on the screen and they think, she's already made it. What they don't see is how many auditions I had to go to, how many no's before I got the yes. So I had to create momentum and confidence and celebrate those steps along the way before I got to my moment. Here's my challenge to you. I want you to start celebrating the small wins. After you finish a micro move for the day, take a moment to give yourself credit. Did you write that paragraph? Woo, celebrate. Did you walk 10 minutes? Yes, celebrate. Did you cross off a task from your to-do list? Yep, you got it. Celebrate. These small celebrations will help you feel good about the work that you're doing, and they also keep you moving towards those bigger goals. At some point in life, we have to take accountability for our own successes and our own failures, and we have to move ourselves forward. So teaching ourselves to celebrate, to create those micro moves, keeps that dopamine hit coming, but it also keeps us on track. Whew, that was a lot of juicy stuff today. Let's quickly recap what we've covered because I want you to leave with actionable steps. I want you to feel encouraged and to be able to implement these micro moves and celebrate your small wins. Are you ready? Number one, we're going to identify those micro moves. Choose just one area of your life, maybe two, where you want to make some progress. Break that goal into smaller, manageable, actionable steps. All right? Number two, gift yourself 18 minutes a day and commit to it. Spend 18 minutes a day focusing on one goal. Set a timer. You've got one on your phone if you've got a smartphone. Make it a non-negotiable part of your day. Aren't you worth 18 minutes? I think you are. And then three, celebrate every single win. After each micro move, I don't care if you give yourself a little dance, do a dance party, acknowledge your progress, give yourself a sticker on a chart, whatever your motivation is, do it and make it count. Number four, schedule those micro moves. If you don't put it on your calendar, it'll be so easy for you to forget it or just put it to the side. When you put it on your calendar, you are writing it down, you're making a commitment, if you will, to yourself and between yourself. Treat those times like important meetings or appointments. All right, my friend, I want you to start putting those micro moves into action today. I know you might be watching this at 9 o'clock at night, but you could quickly write yourself a list for tomorrow and that counts. It is time to stop feeling overwhelmed. Overwhelm is something that just is so heavy and it pulls us down. And being overwhelmed by the big picture is not fun. So I want you to start focusing on the small, consistent steps that lead you to the life that you want. Remember, those small steps lead to big results. And every little victory, well, yes, it is definitely worth celebrating. Drop a comment below. Let me know what's one micro move you're going to take today to move closer to your goals. And don't forget to hit subscribe and stay tuned for even more tips as we go through the Asset series. I'll see you next time.